Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? Here we have advanced verbs versus basic. If you are not yet subscribed, do it right now before we get started. The first one is to accept, to agree, to achieve, to accomplish, to add, to include, to admit, to confess, to advise, to recommend, to afford, to manage, to appear, to sin, to approve, to accept, to argue, to debate, to arise, to happen, to avoid, to escape, to behave, to act, to believe, to trust, to belong, to fit, to blow, to take, to breathe, to inhale, to celebrate, to honor, to check, to verify, to choose, to decide, to collect, to gather, to compare, to match, to complain, to protest, to complete, to finish, to confirm, to prove, to connect, to link, to connect, to link, to continue, to carry on, to control, to manage, to copy, to imitate, to collect, to fix, to cost, to charge, to cost, to charge, to count, to calculate, to cover, to hide, to damage, to harm, to dare, to challenge, to decide, to determine, to decrease, to reduce, to defend, to protect, to delay, to postpone, to demand, to require, to deny, to refuse, to describe, to explain, to describe, to explain, to design, to plan, to destroy, to demolish, to develop, to grow, to differ, to vary, to divide, to separate, to drop, to fall, to aim, to gain, to encourage, to support, to enjoy, to like, to enter, to go in, to escape, to flee, to escape, to flee, to examine, to inspect, to examine, to inspect, to exist, to live, to expand, to split, to expand, to split, to expect, to hope, to expect, to hope, to experience, to feel, to experience, to feel, to explain, to clarify, to express, to show, to face, to confront, to fail, to miss, to fear, to worry, to fight, to battle, to focus, to concentrate, to force, to push, to forgive, to pardon, to form, to create, to gain, to obtain, to greet, to welcome, to handle, to manage, to happen, to occur, to happen, to occur, to hate, to dislike, to help, to aid, to hide, to cover, to imagine, to picture, to imagine, to picture, to improve, to enhance, to increase, to rise, to influence, to affect, to influence, to affect, to inform, to notify, to intend, to plan, to introduce, to present, to invite, to ask, to join, to connect, to judge, to decide, to kill, to destroy, to knock, to hit, to laugh, to smile, to lead, to direct, to live, to quiet, to lend, to loan, to lift, to lies, to limit, to restrict, to listen, to hear, to look, to glance, to love, to care, to mean, to intend, to notice, to observe, to obey, to flow, to obey, to flow, to own, to possess, to own, to possess. Thank you for watching this video. Like, subscribe, share, and comment.